Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's so nice to see you guys Monday morning. Let me know how you're doing so far and where you're coming in from. I have my coffee. I'm going to need lots of it today. I am not feeling that great, so I might be a little quieter than usual. But today we are diving into the PR moves. We're diving in. Taylor Swift's PR moves, Blake Lively's PR moves, and how Blake Lively is blaming it on Justin. And then we'll check the headlines to see what is going on. But I really want to dive into Blake and Taylor today because, and I've got so many messages in my DMs from you guys. The messages I've received are, oh my God, Ash, just on Thursday, you were talking about how Taylor Swift makes donations when there's like big things happening in PR and she needs to make like a big impact. And then she's at the children's hospital. Yes. So we are going to dive into that today. And here's the thing. I'm going to give a disclaimer. I am not attacking Taylor the person. This is a PR. We are looking at the PR, public relations, narrative control, reputation management that is going on right now. Taylor Swift has no choice but to deal with this head on because Blake Lively dragged her back into it last week. Blake Lively had headlines running. She was doing keyword hijacking because Scooter Braun was back in the news. So, of course, Blake Lively's out here keyword hijacking. It's something that happens in PR. Keyword hijacking on Google, putting these big ass headlines out going, Blake Lively, Taylor Swift's bestie, the subpoenas, arch nemesis, Scooter Braun. I mean, completely asinine headlines to bring Taylor's name back into it. She had her Gottlieb lawyer on CNN dragging Taylor back into it to the point that CNN literally clipped those pieces and put them as shorts on YouTube. I mean, she just keeps bringing Taylor into it. So Taylor had no choice but to respond. That's PR. You have got to be controlling the narrative. Something I say all the time is either you control the narrative or the narrative controls you. So this isn't a slight on Taylor the person, and people will have their own individual feelings over whether stuff like this is appropriate or not for PR. We're not going to debate that. I'm just going to call it the PR moves. All right, we're going to look at the PR moves today. But let's actually start. Well, I'm going to say hi to everyone first. We'll say hi first, and then I want to start with Blake attempting to block Justin with this protection order. So this hit the docket June 13th. I saw it and I was like, I'm done. I am done for the week. I need a weekend. I need time away. So it's like, we'll deal with it on Monday. So we're going to start there. Hello, guys. It's so nice to see you. Hello from Oregon. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I hope it's nice where you guys are today. I'm in Ontario, Florida. Oh my goodness, must be nice in Florida. Indiana. Oh my goodness, our American friends are showing up in the chat today. Hi, Leo. Yes, please like the stream. It's so nice to see you guys. All right, my friends. And hopefully I'm giving you guys something to do while you wait. Is anyone on Karen Reed Verdict Watch? I know I am. I know I am. So I'm on Karen Reed Verdict Watch myself. So I'm hoping I'm keeping you busy while we wait for a verdict over there. But let's dive in. Ah, damn it. That's not what I meant to do. Meant to go that way. Sorry, guys. It's Monday and I don't feel that great. We might have some tech glitches. Let's deal with this first because this is going to set the stage for everything really we're talking about today. And it is the protective order that Blake Lively is seeking. So this was June 13th. Oh, and I should introduce myself. Hello, new friends. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Brianna Eve, and I have over 15 years experience in branding and marketing. And my particular interest is narrative control and SEO. So narrative control, reputation management all goes into what you see on the first couple pages of Google. So I have a particular interest in tracking what's happening and the PR moves that are being made in these headline cases, especially Blake and Justin are taking up all my time right now. So I haven't had a chance to cover much else. Complete transparency. So this is June 13th. Dear Judge Lyman, pursuant to Rules 1C and 4C of the court's individual rules and practices and Federal Rule of Civil Procedure, Rule 26, Blake Lively respectfully submits this letter motion for a protective order regarding the Wayfair party's continuing demands for Miss Lively's communication with Taylor Swift made again yesterday, which they have pursued. At the same time, they have refused to produce Miss Lively the documents they publicly claim to have received as part of a deal to withdraw their subpoenas. to Miss Swift and her counsel. Good cause exists for this request because it has been the Wayfair Party's tactic since August 2024 to make Miss Swift and her fan base. I don't think anyone really wants to make her fan base central to anything, to be honest. Her fan base central to their media strategy against Miss Lively, which they documented in both their communications and scenario planning document. Here's the thing. Communications and planning documents, we also have to realize from the perspective of PR teams, you're like pitching what you could do. You're pitching what you could do. It does not mean that's what they did, first of all. And so, it's kind of taken a little bit of context, but I do believe that Blake's team isn't intentionally taking it out of context for headlines, to be honest. I think they know. They damn well know, but it fits their narrative, and for narrative control, fits their narrative a lot better. But saying in a planning document that, we could do A, B, and C doesn't mean they did A, B, and C. Miss Swift is not central to Miss Lively's claims, although Miss Lively made Miss Swift central to everything in the marketing of It Ends With Us, but okay. Unlike dozens of other witnesses, she identified who the Wayfair parties have largely ignored and is otherwise irrelevant to the Wayfair parties' claims, which were dismissed on June 9th. The Wayfair party should not be permitted to withhold documents from Miss Lively while demanding her communications with Miss Swift. Because of this, and because their continued focus on Miss Swift is a media strategy, not a litigation strategy. I mean, pot, kettle. Pot, kettle. Blake, hello. You keep using her as PR. Word. It's a letter request. Did we not read the first line? Letter motion for a protective order. So it's right there in the first line. It was submitted on the 13th. So they're saying that Justin's team is the one using her for a media strategy. Miss Lively respectfully requests that she be relieved from producing documents responsive to request number 108 to 109 and the request for production served by the Wayfair parties on February 21st, 2025. Seeking all documents and communications relating to and or reflecting Miss Smith's communications with Taylor Swift relating to the film and or the action. I just have to say, the one thing for me is if someone was asking for these documents in a lawsuit, and they were like, Ashley, we need all documents and communications relating to and reflecting how you talked with Taylor Swift about the film, and they weren't there, I'd be like, how do I clear my name in this? Because this is ridiculous, and I don't have them. But that's not what Blake is saying. I don't know. Just seems really weird to me. Throughout litigation, particularly over the last month, the Wayfair parties have repeatedly used Miss Swift's name as part of their media strategy. Specifically after, and I'm not saying they have never used Taylor's name, but again, when Blake can't keep Taylor's name out of her mouth as part of her PR strategy, and even just in the days leading up to this, it's just so hypocritical. And we're going to pull up the video that Gottlieb did for CNN where he brings up Taylor Swift and not just brings it up, but CNN clips that amount. And here's the thing. He could have said Taylor was off limits. They could have said, these are the topics we can talk about. Taylor's off limits, but they obviously didn't. So it's just so frustrating. Miss Swift's lawyer and Miss Lively's counsel. The Wayfair parties subsequently served a Rule 45 deposition and document subpoena on Miss Swift that sought documents and communications entirely duplicative and cumulative of those sought by RFP 108 to 109. After nearly 2 full weeks of tabloid coverage of the subpoenas, as well as on the now stricken filing on a related topic, the Wayfair parties withdrew both subpoenas on May 22nd, 2025, the same day as exclusive. Blake, you really want to talk about exclusives, girlfriend? You have so many exclusives that you give people. So as the same day exclusive article co-authored by the Daily Mail's James Vichuska, he's the guy who seems to be playing both sides, by the way. That's all I've taken from him, is that he's playing both sides, whose relationship with the Wayfair parties is already part of the record, quoted an insider stating the reason they dropped the subpoenas. Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, dropped the request for the subpoena, and the reason for doing this is very simple. They got exactly what they were seeking. sending a subpoena to Taylor, and Taylor's response has provided Baldoni's team with everything that they needed. Taylor stated that she was not involved at all, and this is a stark contrast to what Lively has said. The insider continued, Taylor was always considered to be the smoking gun in this, and everyone is extremely pleased with the end results and the information it yielded. They got exactly what they were hoping for and much more. And in fairness, I suppose if they did get a bunch of documents, then they are supposed to turn it over. So, and on the flip side of that, I don't think it said documents were turned over. The agreement could have, in theory, been, these are the dates you want to subpoena Blake for. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV, but let me know, like, especially if you're a lawyer in the chat, is that reasonable? Where the agreement could have been, look, we'll drop it unless we can't get what we want from Blake. We'll leave Taylor out of it. And the Taylor's team was like, okay, what you're going to want is the dates from, I don't know, March to September 2024. In theory, that makes sense to me. Is they could have just said they exist, go after Blake. And in the agreement, you're going to let Taylor be dropped from this. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. So much. Thank you so much, Paula. It's so nice to see you. They know the documents exist. They're not grabbing it yet. And that's what I'm thinking. I think they know they're there. I think they were told what to look for. That's genuinely what I think. I might be off base. And so he wasn't lying by saying they got exactly what they needed more. Because they might say, there was 10 emails that were sent. And there was, I don't know, text messages between, like I said, May and July or whatever last year. And then told shoulder to shoulder. Yes, I did see him say that on, without mentioning her name, though. He did mention shoulder to shoulder in the Megyn Kelly interview. But I don't know. That just makes sense to me. And part of it might have been get them from Blake. Makes sense to me because you still would have got what, and we're going to look at the email as well. But I think it was Taylor's lawyers sent an email to Blake's. We'll look at it together, but something saying no documents were exchanged. Because I really don't think they really even want Taylor dragged into the middle of this with Blake, to be quite honest. On June 11th, 2025, during the 50-minute interview with Megyn Kelly, Mr. Freeman again recognized that he may not need that evidence related to Ms. Swift in addition to what he has made. Or sorry, I was like, I'm getting distracted. We have a broody duck that is sitting on eggs and my husband's trying to set up something for her and I keep catching it out of the corner of my eye. So she has food and water. Anyway, side quest over there. So 50-minute interview with Megyn Kelly, Mr. Freeman again recognized that he may not need that evidence related to Ms. Swift in addition to what he has already. If the Wayfair parties have already obtained exactly what they were hoping for and much more, do not need any evidence in addition to what they have obtained, then RFPs 108 to 109 are duplicative, cumulative, and unnecessary. Even more, the only allegation in this action that were ever remotely relevant to Ms. Swift were in the Wayfair parties' now dismissed complaint. Ms. Swift is not mentioned a single time Ms. Lively's amended complaint. But I still think if they're, to me, again, not a lawyer, so what does my opinion matter? But it does seem as though if Taylor is connected or like Blake told her things in relationship to like taking over the movie, that to me would still be relevant to the contractual issues, which are still on the table. Later on May 22nd, 2025, counsel for Ms. Lively emailed counsel for the Wayfair parties about the public statements interpreted to mean either that one, the intent of the Wayfair parties subpoena, since our understanding is that they obtained no discoverable materials as part of their process, was to introduce scandalous allegations about Ms. Lively and her counsel into the public domain to generate negative stories. Or two, the Wayfair parties have received materials responsive to their subpoena, which would come as a surprise given that no materials have been provided to us. And again, I imagine you need to turn it over if you got something, but I'm honestly starting to wonder if they were just given times and, where to look for Blake. And the agreement was to let Taylor out of it. That's the feeling I get. The same email expressed that any discovery that the Wayfair parties or counsel obtained concerning Miss Smith. Why do I keep going for Miss? Guys, I'm losing it today. I told you I wasn't feeling well. I'm not feeling well, but I'm here. concerning Miss Lively from any third party would be responsive to properly serving RFPs. To date, the Wayfair parties have not responded to the email and have not produced any productions from Miss Swift. Further, the parties have an agreement to produce documents obtained via third-party subpoenas to each other promptly upon receipt, which would clearly apply to these documents, if any, notwithstanding the withdrawal of the subpoena. Okay, so we'll look at the email now. Let me just pull it up. Let me just make sure I have the right one. Because one of them is sealed, it looks like. Okay, this is the one I want. Okay. This is from J. Douglas Baldridge at Venable LLP. And this is to, looks like Blake's team, because I see Gottlieb's name there. Counsel, please be advised that the Venable subpoena and the Taylor Swift subpoena have been withdrawn by counsel for the Wayfair parties without prejudice to them timely serving subpoenas in the future should they decide to do so. All parties reserving all rights. No documents are being produced and no deposition is being scheduled. Accordingly, we'll be notifying the court that our motion to quash is moot. Thank you, Doug. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But for me, it just really feels like, I don't know. And maybe that was the agreement to do it without prejudice. So it's like if they can't get it from Blake, Brian's coming right back. I don't know. I think you're right, Ash. I think they told Brian Freeman exactly where to look and what specifically to ask for. That's kind of what I'm thinking. The devil's in the details. It sure is. Blake, no one special. Why should Taylor worry about her? Yeah. So I think, I don't know. That's the feeling I get, is that they're told where to look. And the fact that it says without prejudice, I do wonder if there's some kind of stipulation of like, okay, if we can't get it from Blake, we're coming back. That's my feeling. That's my read on the situation, which would also mean that they weren't lying. Justin's team wasn't lying, saying they even got more than what they wanted. And in the same vein, it would also mean that he couldn't produce documents to Blake's team because there's no documents to produce because Blake still has them and he hasn't gotten them from Taylor. I don't know. That's my thought. But I want to look at this next because what we're looking at here, and like I said, this kind of sets the stage for what we're talking about today, because when we look at this, Blake is making it seem like Justin keeps pulling Taylor into it, and it's all his fault that Taylor's name is in the headlines. What? Let's flip over to oh my gosh, did I have it up? Yes, I do. Of course I do. This came out, 5-6 days ago? So I believe where this fell is it was after Friedman's TMZ live, but before the Megyn Kelly one, if memory serves. It was about, I think 5 days ago, I did a live on this. So Lively's lawyer on Taylor Swift's role in legal fight. That's the headline. So who is using Taylor for clicks? What? And again, they could have very easily said before the interview, this happens all the time. That, for example, Taylor Swift, anything regarding Taylor Swift is off limits. It's such a blur now. Yes, I agree with that. The days blur together with this case. We'll watch a little bit of this, but this is the headline. Blake Lively's lawyer in Taylor Swift's role in legal fight.
Baldoni's now dismissed lawsuit brought up Blake Lively's friend Taylor Swift. Swift was subpoenaed when text exchanges between Baldoni and Lively were revealed to include the name Taylor. Swift's representative says she was not involved in the movie in any way beyond licensing one song for the film. And at the time, you slammed Baldoni's team for bringing Taylor Swift into this. How did that impact?
Again, hypocrites, because this did not have to be part of their interview. They're bringing Taylor's name into it in an attempt to make Justin look even worse in the public narrative.
Impact your client.
Yeah, Jake, it's no accident that they brought her into this. That The scenario planning document I mentioned from August of 2024 mentions one of the things they planned to do was to plant stories.
That's not true. We just read Blake's document or letter that she sent to the judge. See this? Oh man, that's so shady. That's snaky behavior. So in the letter to the judge, they called it what it was a scenario planning document. It wasn't what would happen. It was options. But here he says this is what they would do.
Discussing the weaponization of feminism, including how people in Blake Lively's circle, specifically Taylor Swift, have been accused of weaponizing feminism to bully people. This was the plan from long before there was a lawsuit to bring Taylor Swift into this, to accuse them both together of weaponizing feminism.
And the problem is Blake brought Taylor into this from the beginning because she continually mentioned in marketing. And we know from the timeline of events that Justin's team produced that Blake, what's that noise? We know from a timeline of events that Blake Lively had the text messages that said, ultimately, it's like the mafia, Maximum Effort, which is her husband, Ryan Reynolds' marketing company. Maximum Effort's going to take care of everything. They're going to do the marketing. And, Justin says, yeah, that's why I'm not going to die on this hill, whatever, basically take over. And she's like, yeah, it's like the mafia. We'll get rid of any lame ideas. So continuously, Blake brought Taylor into it over and over again. And not only did she continually bring Taylor into it through the marketing of it and ends with us, but through the text messages, we see that it wasn't someone else that was telling Blake to talk about that. No one was forcing her. In fact, she's told us she doesn't know the meaning of no. It was Blake's own marketing team, her own marketing company that her and her husband own, that were making decisions on the marketing of the film. So she continually brought Taylor into it. That's on Blake. I don't know. All right. So we have that, but I want to pull up what Taylor had to deal with the last week. So I have a couple Google searches that were pulled up. They're not necessarily dominating the headlines like today because of what Taylor's been doing. So I had to pull them up specifically. But this is one of the biggest things that was dominating the headlines last week. And the funny thing is we all know, right? And look at this, 5 days ago. What else happened 5 days ago when Taylor Swift's name was pulled back into Blake Lively's headlines? Oh yeah, her lawyer. Right? Like this isn't a coincidence. You time these things on purpose to flood Google. It was all on purpose. So 5 days ago, Gottlieb's talking about Taylor Swift dragged into the lawsuit by Justin Baldoni. Now we have these headlines hitting People, which we know People is the mouthpiece for Blake Lively right now, or the primary one. Blake Lively to subpoena Scooter Braun in the latest, let's just pull it up, in the latest move after Justin Baldoni's lawsuit dismissed. So that's your H1 headline. Your H2 headline is Braun has notably long been embroiled in legal battle with Lively's friend Taylor Swift. So this hit the exact same day that Gottlieb was doing the interview with CNN, bringing Taylor back into it. So we had this starting to take off. There were even, Daily Mail, Blake Lively subpoenas ex-best friend Taylor Swift's nemesis. There were more, 3 days ago, Taylor Swift chats irrelevant to Blake. Oh, that's just Blake's team. But there were more talking about Scooter Braun, nemesis of Blake Lively's best friend, Taylor Swift, subpoenaed in It Ends With Us legal drama. So this was starting to take over. If you typed in Taylor Swift into Google, these headlines combined with Blake Lively's lawyer making those statements was taking over Taylor Swift's narrative. Okay, so that was all taking over Taylor Swift's. Now, was there something else that she pulled? I don't have a page up for it, but something else that was really being pulled around that time as well is kind of like the will they, won't they be friends narrative, which I really struggle to believe it was coming from Taylor Swift's side. And again, the timing was suspect. The timing was the exact same time as all of this. So 5 days ago, 6 days ago, where all these headlines were also flooding, where it was like, are they best friends? And it was a lot of headlines around like Taylor working to trust Blake again. It was just in and of itself, it wasn't a big red flag. But when you added it to the interview with Gottlieb, plus all of this, all at the same time, it just kind of looked like a coordinated press rollout, Blake. Just kind of looked like a coordinated press rollout. So what ended up happening, and I can't pull it up because the timeline shift, everything has shifted, but let me pull up Taylor's today. And it's interesting. It shifts a little bit if you have Taylor Swift news. Actually, it's still at the top. Taylor Swift news or Taylor Swift. It'll shift a little bit based on what it's pulling from the headlines. However, what was flooding, so if you put Taylor Swift in, it would flood. Oh, this is the one that wasn't refreshed, right? Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is showing you, I think I pulled this up last night, and I'll show you the one from this morning. So this is actually a good comparison as well to show you guys the difference. Now, I've been asked a few times if I take on PR clients. No, I do not have the time to take on PR clients. I don't. Most days I don't have time to wash my hair. So I do not take on any PR clients, but I do take on branding and marketing consultations. And I do have so if you are building a brand or even a YouTube channel, I do have my Brand by Design 101, which is my signature course launching this summer. So you can get on that wait list. I have a free brand archetypes quiz. And if you take the free brand archetypes quiz, you'll be on my email list and you'll know about that when it launches. But I don't take on like high workloads anymore. I have my farm. I enjoy being on the farm and I don't want the stress of it. I don't want the stress of it. So this is going to show you it is a stressful job, long hours. I'm sleeping by 9 p.m. I can't deal with midnight news drops. Sorry, can't deal with it. So this is what was going on last night, which is we're going to see how fast it does shift. So this was about last night. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni legal battle continues. So this is under, look whose name, Taylor Swift. This was what was dominating Taylor Swift's Google pages. You don't want this. Again, you guys are going to hear me say it a million times, but either you control the narrative or the narrative controls you. Great show that talks about this, by the way. Is it The Better Sister that I'm watching with Jessica Biel? Such a great show. But they talk about it because she's very high powered in the industry. She's a public figure, Jessica Biel's character. And they talk about you want to get ahead of things, first of all, but it's all about controlling the narrative. Great show if you like murder mysteries, but they talk about it a lot. You don't have control of the narrative when this is hitting. This is a problem for Taylor Swift's camp. When you type it, when someone's going to, because again, I know for a lot of people that are watching here, you're like, actually, no, people do not get their news from Google anymore. Get with the times, old lady. No, they do. They do. The majority of people still do. And the majority of people, 80%, only read the headline. The rest read about the first 100 words of an article, which we have talked about in depth over and over again when I've broken down articles that publications have written about Blake or Justin and why some were good, why some were bad, why some that were even friendly to Blake or friendly to Justin were kind of shitty overall because they weren't putting the most important information in the first 100 words. Variety was one of the best ones for Justin in the last couple of weeks. Fantastic. For strong headlines, first 100 words, they told you exactly what you needed to know. It was solid. But this is bad news bears. You do not want this on your first 2 pages. Taylor Swift typically has control of like her first 8 to 10 pages on Google where it's positive news. So I had mentioned, I think on our last live, was it Thursday or Friday, we had talked about, and I've gotten a lot of DMs around this from people saying, oh my gosh, you called it. Because I've talked about how Taylor does use charity moves like donations, for example, when there's really bad PR or like not really bad PR negative to her, but this is still bad. You don't want your SEO to look like this, right? You don't want your Google to look like this. So when she needs something to catch on fast and make a big impact on Google, what you tend to see is charity, like donations, hospital visits, etc. Now, for the Swifties that are here, I am not attacking Taylor the person. Please do not take this. Whenever I do, like, honest takes on Taylor's branding or things I don't agree with. People are like, Taylor doesn't use branding psychology and Taylor doesn't use marketing and Taylor doesn't do that. I'm like, dude, the reason why Taylor is the size Taylor is because of how smart the branding, marketing, and PR has been for her brand. Period. Now, also the reason why she's so popular and so big and maintains that is I do believe her brand is authentic, where she is someone that would probably be doing these things regardless, but they're strategically used to amplify the narrative. Then I'm going to show you a few examples. So for those that are like, oh, Ashley, no, you're crazy. I'm going to show you a few examples. Attack freely, Ashley. So I'm going to show you a few examples on how Taylor's done this in the past. And the fact that I was able to call it before it happened shows that she does have a PR playbook that she operates from. Again, everyone does. This has simply been her go-to move. So this is what she needed to get rid of. So let's pull up what it looks like and I'll refresh, just make sure we're getting the news. Oh yeah, it's even better now, even in the last hour. There you go. Can you guys see the difference? Let me know in the comments. I want you, like, can you see just like objectively, this isn't tearing her down. This is smart. Whenever I say she does smart branding, people get upset with me. I'm like, or smart PR. I'm like, dude, it is PR. It is. I'm complimenting her. Can you see the difference in that? The other one that we just had pulled up that was from, like I said, it was probably late last night that I pulled that up because I tend to look at night and see how the news cycles changed from the morning. The main title was Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni legal battle continues under Taylor Swift's name. I had not pulled up Blake Lively. I had not pulled up Justin Baldoni. That was Taylor Swift's name. And now look at top stories. She visits a children's hospital in Florida. This is why she's good at branding. She knows. She's smart. Her and her team are smart. Because then that would be the news. You got it. Yeah. And I don't doubt, like I said, I don't doubt that she is someone that would make donations. I don't doubt that she would do those things, right? And this is a PR move. Both things can be true at once. At least here, where we have critical thinking and we use critical thinking, both things can be true at once. Where she's a good person. I don't know her personally. There's been some stories over the years that she's not, she's got some mean girl tendencies. But let's just go with that. Everyone does, whatever. No one's perfect. Let's just go with that. She's a good person and she can amplify that for positive PR because this isn't a coincidence. This isn't a coincidence. And yes, she does a lot of cherry. Oh my gosh, guys, I swear. If you're new to the channel, I'm not usually this inarticulate. I don't feel good at all, but I want to talk about it. She does a lot on the down low, and we're actually going to talk about that as well because I have an example of that. Yeah, it moves the news. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so perfect. I love that you guys are seeing it. And again, it's not a slight against her, but look at, so we have the top news stories, Taylor Swift, and again, let's just flip over just to show the difference again. So these are the things I look for. So this was last night. Let's see if there's any. Look, okay, I should have scrolled down. So this is last night. You have to scroll down. Look at that. She visits the Children's Hospital and the Stanley Cup Finals versus. It's pretty cool. Like, I don't know. I'm a nerd over this, but I also do it for my job for clients. So, there's that. But, oh, damn it. Did I switch? Ashley, pull up the right one. So this. So they moved up to the top 2 stories. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. And then we have the official website. Yeah, took back control. Okay, let's flip over here. Oh, it's going to make me click on these, isn't it? Okay, we don't need to go too deep into this, but let's see if there's any. 4 hours ago, Taylor Swift Tour 2026, trying to explain amid fan excitement. I wouldn't be surprised if she starts seeding that. That's narrative seeding when you start to drop hints. She calls them Easter eggs. In PR and SEO, we like to call it seeding. Let's see what else is here. So she was spotted at the South Florida hospital taking selfies, signing merch, and interacting with fans. Another way or another reason this is really good. So, damn it. She had 2 stories that ran with her taking videos with fans, her being really nice and sweet and giving. It works really well because Blake Lively was just dragged over the coals for being rude and entitled. So to have these videos of like the polarity, she's trying to separate herself from Blake, right? Trying to separate herself in the headlines, trying to separate herself personality-wise and branding. It was smart. It's very smart. So she's taking all these pictures and videos, and you can do things, celebrities can do things on the DL and you can have, if you go to an event or something where things are signed, so videos aren't leaking. I did talk actually about this in terms of her branding moves from the wedding as well. How she went to the wedding. I said, this is great branding and this is great PR for Taylor, because what she's doing is like, I'm just like a normal girl. That's the woman brand archetype. If you want to know your brand archetype and you have a YouTube channel, a podcast, you're building a business, you're building a personal brand, take my brand archetypes quiz. It is in the comments, and you'll also be the first to know when Brand by Design launches. But when we're looking at the brand archetype, I said the best move she's made is going to a weddings. I've said for weeks what Taylor needs to do. And you guys know that I'm not just, blowing smoke up at anyone's asses. All my videos have been what she needs to do is go back to her roots. What have been her roots? Showing up at weddings, events, kind of like Taylor's just being Taylor. Hospitals, charity, all this stuff is just the brand Taylor has built. And I said, these are the pieces that are going to move the needle in this, what is genuinely a PR war that she's been dragged into. And there's a lot of people, you're going to go on both sides where people say she shouldn't use the children's hospital for charity. She's not the only celebrity that does it. A lot of celebrities do it. But it's a PR move. Now there was also, this one. We'll flip over here. So this was also trending. It's been moved down a bit. That's why I pulled it up separately, Taylor Swift hockey game. So I've pulled it up separately just because it has been pushed down in SEO because of the children's hospital, but it's still really good. So again, she made the appearance right on time from what I had predicted she would. Went to the hockey game. She was taking videos. So there's videos of her with the fans that were in like I don't know, I'm not a hockey person, but like the booth or whatever, the VIP booth area, whatever. So she's leaning over, taking videos and pictures with the kids over there, shaking everyone's hand, introducing herself, calling Travis over because they had asked, I guess there were sports fans in the suite or whatever next to them, calling Travis over for pictures. I kind of giggled to myself because he didn't get that close. He was like, yeah, hi, basically from like standing back. But, she calls Travis over. So there was videos of her interacting with fans. Goes into that every woman brand archetype. I'm just like one of you, right? That's a whole point of her branding, to be seen as like you. Will there be a mommy era? Good question. The marriage era, probably. Hello, Julia. What are you up to, sweetheart? Hi. What's wrong, sweetie? Where are you going? What's wrong? So, am I the only Swiftie here? Just curious. There's lots of Swifties in this community. Swifties that get very triggered over me talking about her marketing PR usually don't last long here, but there are a lot of Swifties in the community. And a lot of Swifties are really interested to understand her PR moves and her branding moves. I have nothing against Taylor Swift herself. Like I said, I think they're so smart. They're so good. This is how she controls the narrative. Oh, there it is. Taylor Swift NHL game fan interaction explained. So there's this video. I wonder if here it is. What's it? Yeah, I'll probably pause it so we don't get in trouble, but we can play it.
I got really long arms.
And sorry to pause. We're going to pause just so I don't get copyright struck. But the thing I also like about this is she's kind of like, just like you, right? She makes a joke about her arms being really long. Like right away, she's just down to earth, makes kind of a joke about herself. She complimented the fan.
Taylor, can you get Travis? For Travis? For Travis? She's over there in her wheelchair.
Now, something that does come out as well, and I think in this video, is they did know she was going to be there. So her security team, which also goes to show Taylor doesn't just show up somewhere, right? So they had mentioned, well, we heard you were going to be here because it's a security concern, which was also always my thought process when you thought about like Taylor just showing up randomly at Blake's apartment at a random time, not knowing who was there. That wouldn't happen. She wouldn't just show up in an apartment not knowing who's at the apartment.
One of the commissioners, we have the mayor, this is our city box. Yeah. So when we knew you were coming next door, we're like, oh God. That's so sweet.
Taylor, I'm the deputy mayor. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
He would
you.
love to meet Travis if it's possible.
We have all the cops. These are our cops.
Travis, go. Elise, excuse me, Elise.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not made for public life the way Taylor is or people like Taylor. I'd kind of be Travis. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, go ahead. Look up. Hi. I'm the deputy mayor. Nice to meet you. Jeremiah, he's a big fan. Can we get a picture together? Take a picture. Turn around.
Like, I love it. He interacts, but he still kind of stays back behind the board.
Jeremiah, look here. Look here, puppy.
Thank you very much for everything.
Okay, I don't think they kept it in there, but there was the longer length video where they say, when we heard you were going to be here, we were really excited. So again, it just goes to show at her level and her star power, you can't risk it. There's crazy people out in this world. You can't risk her just showing up. I think it's hilarious when they when celebrities of that level introduce themselves, like as if we don't know. You know, it's cute to me. All right, nah. I love it. Oh my gosh, MySpace era. You're throwing it way back. I remember MySpace. That was simpler times. Simple time. Who else was around for MySpace? I'm almost 42 and I've been listening since before her first album came out. I've been interested in watching her journey, especially in recent years. Absolutely. She is a genius of branding. In fact, so even like my content for years, I mean, I've only started applying it in the way I have now in 2025, but I've been speaking about how celebrities use branding, use marketing, use PR for years, about 5 or 6 years. And Taylor's been a pillar of who I've used as an example when I'm trying to teach people, or when I'm trying like new people to, well, not even just new people, because there's even a lot of celebrities, public figures that don't realize the psychology, that the depths of the psychology that's in her brand. So I don't even want to say just new entrepreneurs, but even down new entrepreneurs to public figures that I work with, who don't realize the level of psychology. And they say, she just shows up and she's just her. And it's like, well, yes, the authenticity makes her brand magnetic, but it's just like the sales and branding psychology, the PR, the marketing is just, it's incredible. She's, I would say, one of the most psychologically rich brands in today's world. I used MySpace. Oh my goodness. I love it. I looked up MySpace. It's still there. Is it really still there? Okay, what did I want to look at next? So we've gone over Taylor Swift. Just trying to go through my head. I should have had better notes. Okay, let's look at, that's what I wanted to look at next. And again, I'm not like, when I'm looking at a brand critically, It's not because I'm judging them for their moves, although Blake, I judge Blake because I judge Blake's PR moves because she accuses Justin of doing the things she's doing, and that irritates me. Everyone has PR. And one of the things I think, because we talk about so much in regards to branding, marketing, and PR on this channel in regards to this case, I don't want branding, marketing, PR to get a bad name. Everyone, from your favorite YouTubers to your favorite musicians to your favorite brands, to whether you pick Pepsi or Coke, everything is branding and marketing. Everything is. The beauty of it is when someone creates an authentic brand or a brand that resonates with you, you actually get to find your people, right? That's what's so powerful about good branding is you get to feel seen, which is the whole point of being human. We want to find our tribe. We want to feel seen. So it allows you to find the right people. And what I hope and my intention with exposing a lot of the media manipulation, the SEO tricks, the PR tricks that can go into it is that you're not doing it blindly. You're able to use discernment when you see things. But everything is branding, marketing, and PR. So it's not that it's bad. And I never want to give the impression that it's bad. It's that it, yes, absolutely can be used to manipulate people. The whole point of branding psychology and sales psychology is to bypass the logical mind. That's the whole point. Bypass the logical mind, go straight to emotions, appeal to emotions, go to the subconscious mind, because people, it shows research, which is true. We make decisions, purchasing decisions based on emotions, not logic. So what I always say is with great power comes great responsibility, because when you understand branding psychology and you create a really rich brand that is rich with psychology, you also in your hand hold people's subconscious mind. And to me, that's what's important to understand. And then that's what I hope my channel does, is give you a deeper understanding of what's going on, so that it's not just like blindly like sheep. Doesn't mean you can't have your favorite brands, right? All right, let's see what's going on with Blake. Give me 1 second. All right, guys, I am not feeling well enough to deal with big distractions. I have ADHD, and when I'm not feeling well, I cannot deal with distractions in the background. So I had to deal with that. My ability to stay on track and not be distracted with my ADHD when I don't feel well is just, and now my hair is a mess. Gotta fix this. It's like the humidity hair. I do what I can with it. All right. So let's see what's going on. Sorry for the interruption. I should have had like hold music or something. Okay, so this is under Blake Lively news. This Taylor Swift allegedly done with Blake Lively for good as Dragon Text. So it's talking about the Dragon Text again. Blake Lively seeks court order to block Justin Baldoni from requesting. Actually, we're going to click on this. The reason why this is what I meant to talk about. This started hitting, this news about Blake Lively seeking a court order to block Justin Baldoni from requesting communication between her and Taylor Swift. That hit within hours, max, within hours of Blake Lively submitting that letter to the judge. Just hours. So it goes to show me that likely someone was feeding that information, or someone said, hey, wink, wink, this is what was just submitted to the judge. It could also be another way this can be done very often. And I've seen this with Blake Lively, and I've seen this happen with her in the past, where it's like a Sunday, right? And something all of a sudden is hitting all these news outlets on a Sunday. Kim Kardashian did this as well recently with her, I think it was her son's birthday, where it was, she has a post go up on a Sunday evening, and all of a sudden it's trending. The only reason it's trending is you told them when to, or when it was going up, when it was scheduled to be posted, and they were already set to go. So another way this can be done with NPR is Blake Lively called up, say, people, if they were the first ones with the news, and said, hey, we're submitting this letter Just so you know, it's going to be hitting the docket at this time. It'll be safe to run that story. So that does happen as well. So let's look at what it says here. The letter accuses Baldoni's Wayfair parties of making Miss Swift and her fan base central to their media strategy against Miss Lively. Blake Lively is seeking a protective order against Justin Baldoni's legal team regarding the Wayfair party's continuing demands for her communication with Taylor Swift. According to the letter obtained by people, well, there you go. They probably obtained it at the same time I imagine it was submitted. I would imagine, because it was, again, it went up like that. And I doubt that People Magazine has someone that is refreshing the court docket 24/7. I just don't see that. But it was obtained by People. Baldoni's team have pursued these communications at the same time they have refused to produce Miss Lively the documents they publicly claim to have received as part of a deal to withdraw their subpoena to Miss Swift and her counsel. Per Lively's attorney, Ezra Hudson's letter, good cause exists for this request because it has been a tactic of Baldoni's Wayfair parties to make Miss Swift and her fan base central to the media strategy against Miss Lively. So it's just straight to the point. It has a few quotes from it, which, if you want a certain narrative out, isn't bad, because the longer you have an article, the less people are going to read to the end. So the fact they took a couple big pieces, and usually what you're going to see with something like this is you're going to have the big pieces that they want to start trending, because what ends up happening is, say, we're getting into the weeds, but I know you guys that have been with me since the beginning of the year following this case in PR and marketing, you're really enjoying starting to get into the nuances of it. So what ends up happening is, say, People Magazine gets the exclusive. What'll happen is, say, Daily Mail and Page 6. They'll take snippets from this, but they link back to this article, which also gets them money from ads, because all of these ads, see this ad in the corner here, we have a video going back a while, but have you noticed it's automatically playing? They make ad revenue with those auto playing ads, even if you don't click on it. There's ads that they'll only make money if you click on it, but a lot of these are just, it'll auto play. So they're making money. But yes, I would say this was probably set to go. People got either a copy of it or the heads up that it would be going live. But this is under Blake's name. This is my first time looking at hers today, so I'm going to be like reading it in my head as we go as well. I wouldn't put the judge as Blake go-to source or go-to people. Yeah. Which one is the go-to source? Okay, so what else is going on here? Let's see. Blake Lively asked judge to block Justin, so that's still trending. I think it's hilarious that Yahoo has the dragon text in the headline. Because actually, one of the top searches for Blake Lively is Blake Lively dragon text or Blake Lively text. So what they're doing with that is keyword hijacking. All right. So with keyword hijacking, you pick words that are trending in search engines, Google, and you put it in your title. And it'll, when you have the AI crawling the headlines to pick what's coming first or what matches it, it's going to snag those popular headlines. Blake Lively files motion to block Justin Baldoni from obtaining Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift will never forget Blake Lively's betrayal. She buries... I saw this one trending over the weekend. Taylor Swift will never forget Blake Lively's betrayal. She buries hatchets but keeps maps where she put them. I thought that was clever. So according to news reports, Taylor feels Blake crossed a line. This isn't something she'll forget. So I've been asked a lot, do I think that this is all PR, like Blake and Taylor PR? So originally, if you had asked me like 2 months ago, there was a world where I could have seen that they were still friends behind the scenes. I find it hard to believe that now. Now, nothing's out of the realm of possibility in Hollywood. However, I find it very hard to believe they are friends now, because it almost feels like Blake is taking shots at Taylor, because you are getting headlines from Blake Lively that is like Blake Lively's new girl squad, Blake Lively out with Taylor Swift replacement. You're getting so many headlines, and it's not necessarily organic that's happening, right? It's not necessarily organic. Some of it will be. Some of it, of course, will be. But when you start to see certain things trending and starting to flood Google, it's just very hard to, oh, see, I got a thumbs up from StreamYard. I don't know how to turn it on or off, but I always take it as a sign from the universe. All right, so let's see what else. So it's a lot about her trying to block the Justin getting text messages. Yeah. I think this one's behind a paywall. Blake Lively's next move in Justin Baldoni legal war, and it involves former BFF Taylor Swift. I'm not a huge, I'm going to be honest. I like Daily Mail and a lot of what they put out. They tend to be lean pro Justin, although it's come out that they seem to be playing both sides. That James seem to be playing both sides. But typically what I found is with the behind the paywall ones, they're a little bit more gossipy. And so I don't tend to click on them because I don't give them much weight. When I was getting behind them and I'd see what was there, I'm like, I don't feel actually comfortable sharing this because it just seems more gossipy than anything. It seems clickbaity more than anything. And see, this is the stuff that exclusive source. This is the stuff, this is 2 weeks ago, that Blake Lively has been seeding. Exclusive source, that's Blake Lively. Where Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's friendship stands after Justin Baldoni dropped subpoena against singer. So you guys say there's a new filing. Let's just check Justin's SEO because I want to see what's going on with Justin because I haven't had a chance to check his yet today. So that's the way so I would say Blake's Google search right now is positive towards her because what the narrative her team's going to be pushing is that she's protecting women. She's fighting for women. Actually, I think Matt Gottlieb or Mike Gottlieb, I can never remember his name. I'm not trying to be an ass. If he ever watches my stuff, I'm not trying to be an ass. Can never remember his name. But I'm not trying to be shady with it. What he had talked about is like Blake is fighting for all women. And I think it was in the TMZ live video that she's fighting for women. She's going to stand. She's not going to let Justin Baldoni's team take down 47.1. Yeah, it was. I still can't remember. I swear I'm not being shady. I genuinely cannot remember. I had friends teasing me from the live last week. They're like, did you not see everyone trying to correct you with the name? And I was like, no, I was just rolling with it. I only look at the chat when I can afford to get distracted because you guys kill me. Okay, so he was the one that was talking about it. You know, Blake, maybe we'll pull it up if we have time today. Blake Lively's, stand up for 47.1, which I was hoping you were being shady. Maybe a little. He's been pushing that narrative, which is her PR narrative. Actually, let me write that down because I want to come back to that and I'll forget. We and us. Oh, that is something I get on clients' cases for all the time. It's all I, and their content. I'm like, where is the we and the us? Where's that? Okay, let me pull up. Let's have a look at what's going on with Justin, and then we'll talk about her statement she had released, which is right in line with Gottlieb's TMZ interview. And then we'll look at the docket. We'll get there, I promise. I'm not in a huge rush today. Mondays are usually like content creation days anyway, so we're good. Justin Baldoni news. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni legal battle continues. Blake Lively. So this is on his page. Remember what I said. Either you control the narrative or the narrative controls you. So the first 2 pages of Google, you want your story out. You want your positioning out. You want how the world wants to see you out and leading. So it's the same stuff. Protective order against Justin Baldoni's team over Taylor Swift. Still trending because it was posted yesterday. Judge dismisses Justin Baldoni defamation lawsuit. This one could probably be seen as leaning Justin's side. Taylor Swift allegedly done with Blake Lively for good, because it kind of destroys this kind of angle that her team's taking of like she's fighting for Taylor and fighting for women. Okay, and a lot of the still judge tosses. Not overly surprising, to be quite honest, that the blocking is still up there. And Justin's team is, I can't believe this is still on page 1. I say it every time I see it, but you very rarely see something from December 22nd, 2024 still on his page 1. That is wild. And it's not on her page 1. That's just so weird to me. Okay. So yes, for Justin's PR, he's in a weird position, honestly, guys, because they're leaning into, which I agree, and I think it's a good move, the facts. That is also what Brian Friedman talked about. We have the facts on our side. We are letting the facts lead. And that's a very smart positioning for him. Let me just close some of these. Oh, shoot. We forgot to go over Taylor. We'll do that quick too. So he's been leaning into Justin Baldoni and Brian Friedman that we have the facts on our side. Very, very smart positioning to come from. So he's in a tricky spot because unless there's any new news that can come out, you don't necessarily want to push a story out, right? So I don't know if they'll do anything to correct that SEO right now. It's a tricky spot. Okay, let's look at this quick. Last week, I stood proudly. So this is Blake Lively's statement that she made after the news of the $400 million lawsuit being dismissed. Last week, I stood proudly alongside 19 organizations united in defending women's rights to speak up for their safety, like so many others. So this is what you wanted. This, like, PR wrote this. PR wrote this. And this is what you're going to see more and more. I can nearly guarantee it in Blake Lively's PR and what she's pushing out. You're likely going to see this happen more and more. Is like, I'm fighting for women. I'm fighting for women's rights. I'm speaking up for their safety. Let me just plug in my charger. So they did that. They made it very clear in the statement. Last week, I stood proudly alongside 19 organizations united in defending women's rights to speak up for their safety. Right away, you know Blake didn't write this because, and this, it's just the truth. Yummy isn't mentioned. Sparkly isn't mentioned. And that is just her language. That is how she speaks. So the fact that we don't see any of that says a lot. So her PR team wrote this, like so many others. So she's aligning herself with the 19 organizations. It's not just about her. I felt the pain of a retaliatory lawsuit, including the manufactured shame that tries to break us. Us. You want to avoid I. Too much I. So that right away for me was a dead giveaway that she didn't write this because it kept bringing the us, like so many others. While the suit against me was defeated, so many, again, she does the me, but right away goes back to the us. So many don't have the resources to fight back. I'm more resolved than ever to continue to stand for women's rights. See, she says that she gives her stance, but again, women's rights. She brings it back out again to have a voice in protecting themselves, including their safety, their integrity, their dignity, and their story. There are protections out there. Check out some of the incredible organizations below for resources and information. With love and gratitude for the many who stood by me. Many of you I know, many of you I don't, but I will never stop appreciating or advocating for you. Okay. Which became I think I'm having problems with StreamYard. Are we good? Let me just check. StreamYard's being a bit of a pain. Let me check something. Let me know if the stream's still okay, guys. Okay, good on that end. Perfect. So I'll just ignore it on this end. Perfect. Thanks, Leo. Thank you. Okay. So it keeps like buffering on my side, but if it's good on your side, we'll just keep running with it. So she keeps aligning herself with those organizations. And then Gottlieb did it again when he talked to TMZ, where he says that she's going to stand up for organizations. It's not just about Blake, it's about others. And so what has they've set the stage for is no matter what Justin says, they're now going to turn it around and be like, it's not just an attack on Blake. It's an attack on all women. It's an attack on these organizations. It's an attack on the law. And so this is what's going to be, it's tricky. And I know a lot of Justin supporters are like, too bad, just go out there and say something. we also want to keep in mind the people that haven't heard his side, and she's just going to twist it. So it is a tricky position that she's taken because she's aligned herself with the us. She's aligned herself with the bigger movement. But this is definitely PR. And oh my gosh, one of my favorite PR people, Molly McPherson, she took a shot. She took a shot at my age, at everyone's age, actually. She said the way she could tell that it was PR was double spacing after the period. Like, how? Hey, taking a shot at all of us, oldies. But yes, that is another little PR trick that Molly McPherson had pointed out or noticed, not PR trick, but that you can notice it wasn't Blake that wrote it. There is that double space there. Yeah, it's a tough position to be in because no matter what he says, and I've talked about this before, no matter what he says, she turns it around as Darvo, abuse, an attack on all women. And even, I don't know if I have it up. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it quick. So I'll show you what they did if I can find it really quick. If not, it's no big deal. Oh shit, I didn't switch over. Sorry guys. I'm watching it all by myself. I'm watching it all by myself. It's so funny. I saw Peter Tragos from Lawyer You Know do that the other day, and I was dying. I thought it was so funny. And then, of course, here I am watching it by myself. Okay. So he's responding. Gottlieb's responding to the idea that Freeman said that they were just going to drop the case now, which I think Freeman was kind of baiting them and knowing that Blake wouldn't drop the case if she was kind of triple dog-tiered.
One of the things she said when this decision came out is that she is more determined than ever to take this case to trial to prove her claims of sexual harassment and retaliation, not just for herself, but for all of the women out there who may suffer from sexual harassment.
Catch that? It's so everyone's parroting the PR statement at this point. Everyone's just parroting the PR. So the PR wrote that statement that Blake put out, and now he's parroting it too.
In the workplace, who may not have the resources or may not have the wherewithal to be able to defend themselves.
So there he brought up the exact same thing that Blake brought up in her statement in her Instagram stories. I fight for people that don't have the resources.
May be able to speak up for themselves. It's really important to remember what the Wayfair parties have tried to do in this case. They haven't just attacked Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. They've attacked the laws that are designed to protect victims of sexual abuse, sexual assault, sexual harassment.
So again, they're taking that position of no matter what they say, and that is not what Brian Freeman said. He, in fact, said that he agrees with these laws, that there needs to be protection. He just didn't agree that people can't defend themselves.
Harassment. They've attempted to strike down as unconstitutional a landmark law in California that is designed to protect victims of sexual harassment who speak out. They, Justin Baldoni and the Wayfair parties, have asked a court to strike that law down as unconstitutional. Blake Lively.
Which that is not what has happened at all. Like, not even slightly. Not even slightly.
Is not going to allow that to happen. She's going to stand up for that law. She's going to stand up for victims of sexual harassment who choose to speak up. And she's going to take this case to trial and obtain accountability and justice for what has happened to her.
So see, it's just, that's something that you see. It's the same narrative parroted in her statement and what he says. Yeah, he's definitely reading a script 100%. Yeah, it's all one huge game of PR wizard chess, 100%. If Blake drops the case, can Baldoni still motion for a trial? So we talked about this last week. So he still has, he gets to submit his second amended complaint for his remaining charges against her. Technically, she can't just drop it in the sense that, she can walk into the courts today and be like, peace out, I'm done. Technically, from what I understand, the judge and Justin has to just, agree with it. However, as someone in branding, marketing, PR, that would be a horrible look if Justin was like, too bad, so sad, I'm dragging you to court. The only way I would say that would be a good strategy to force her to follow through is if he's not going back to Hollywood and he's not going back to the Man Enough podcast and like that branding and just being like, whatever, I'll go scorched earth. I'm not letting her drop it. We're going to trial. And he doesn't care what's said. If he has hope and he wants to go back to the Man Enough podcast and he wants to go back to what he says he believes in, I don't think dragging her to court is a good move. I personally don't. I also don't see the judge forcing her to go to court if she decides to drop it. He did say alleged. He always says alleged. He always says alleged when it's wild. It's wild when he talks about his claims. He always says alleged. All right. I'm going to see. You guys had said stuff was going on the docket. And then I had promised you guys I'd show you how Taylor had used donations for a PR move previously. And then I forgot. Oh, the only thing up is an order. So Blake Lively is ordered to inform the court by 5 p.m. today, June 16th, 2025, whether the Wayfair party's responses have rendered any part of the motion at docket number 295 moot. Hereby ordered by Judge Lyman. What's 295? Let me scroll down. So this is what they're talking about. So the only thing that I can see up so far is saying the court saying that she has to inform the court by 5 p.m. today if any of this is moot. So this is on behalf of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Collectively, the Lively Reynolds parties, we write pursuing to rules 1C and 4C of your Honor's individual practices to respectively request an order compelling Wayfair Studios LLC, Justin, Jamie, Steve, it ends with us, Melissa, the agency group, and Jennifer Abel to respond to certain interrogatories. Okay, so it's the interrogatories at issue seek basic information regarding the identity of potential witnesses and documents relevant to the litigation. Okay. So Blake has to report back to the court today and let the court know whether if any of it's moot, I guess. I don't know why it would be, but regardless. And I think this is actually what Blake was complaining about. Do you guys remember in her letter to the court? She was complaining that like they're not even turning over relevant people on their side. So I think this is kind of what she's referring to. But yes, that is the only thing up so far, my friends. Okay, but I am going to show you something before I let you go. I'll show you guys quick because I had promised and I forgot to show you guys how Taylor's done this in the past. So she did this in the past. The first time that we saw like it really go viral, the SEO manipulation, was the Taylor Swift Jets controversy. And this actually made a lot of ground and gained a lot of momentum in business, marketing, and PR circles. So what ended up happening is Taylor Swift was receiving a lot of pushback in regards to her private jet use. And then she went to a Jets game. So remember what I was talking about previously, where I was talking about keyword hijacking. So she hijacked the word Jets. There was already an SEO. It was flooding SEO, Taylor Swift jet use and Taylor Swift private jets and like all of this stuff in regards to her private jet use. So if she goes in with headlines about being at a Jets game and she pushes that PR hard enough, it suppresses everything else. So the idea of flooding SEO or doing SEO manipulation tactics is you push down what you don't want at the top because most people are only looking at the first 1 to 2 pages of Google. So you push down what you don't want. So this is an article that came out talking about companies that have used this. Taylor Swift's Jets and Disney's Frozen, the unique ways SEO could be used. And this is from December 6, 2024. Was it December? I hate when it's 1206. Never know. Different countries put the month in front. In the vast and complex world of digital reputation management, which is what I do, Google's search results play a crucial role. This is what I've been saying. A lot of people don't believe me. The power of a brand's online image can dictate its success or failure. Like I tell you guys, either you control the narrative or the narrative controls you. That's why Taylor needs something big to control the narrative again. Thus, it's hardly surprising that PR strategists might go to great lengths, including allegedly engineering incidents to manipulate search rankings and push unfavorable stories out of the spotlight. All right, let's go down. Our favorite SEO conspiracy theories. So they're saying like the tongue-in-cheek conspiracy theories, because in the end of the day, it's like allegedly. Wink, wink. Don't sue us. Taylor Swift's jet. Last year, Taylor Swift was at the center of an internet storm due to her excessive private jet usage. Searching Taylor Swift jet once surfaced a plethora of negative headlines. However, Swift soon appeared at a New York Jets game, coincidentally, as she was beginning to date Travis Kelce, a player for the Kansas Chiefs who was playing in that game. Interestingly, the headlines were skewed to highlight Jets more than Chiefs. So that's where anyone that understood PR was like, huh, that's interesting. Because it wasn't her going to boyfriend Travis Kelce's Chiefs game. All of the headlines were pushing out Jets. That was the focus. Was it a strategic move to manipulate SEO or just a coincidence? The timing was impeccable. Again, it's like, don't sue us. Allegedly, wink, wink. But the timing was a coincidence. But the effect was temporary as stories of her continued jet use eventually took precedence again. And that's the problem, right? We live in a world where the news cycle is so fast that if people keep complaining about her private jet use, it's going to start dominating again. The jet was going on about traveling when she went to Tokyo to the Super Bowl. Yes, that's right. That's when it was. Hello. I was at the beginning of the live, so maybe this has been said, but perhaps the Wayfair parties may want to compare what Blake has from the may have deleted from the conversations with Taylor Swift. Actually, that's a good point. I don't know. Could they get it from Taylor's side? I don't know. I'm not good on that tech side of things. That's a good question. I don't know. I think this way it's potentially, again, just to keep Taylor out of it, but I feel like there's more to this than anyone knows right now. So that is what happened in regards to the Jets game. However, she kind of switched strategies later, but I want to show you this one as well, because I've talked about this one, but I never pulled up the headlines for you guys. And I meant to. Okay. This was January 16th, 2025. This is the first time I can see Taylor Swift's name in headlines in regards to the It Ends With Us lawsuit. Justin Baldoni claims Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift pressured him to accept Blake Lively's It Ends With Us rewrite complaint. That hit January 16th at 2:02 p.m. Eastern. So this is where we started to see what was coming out in regards to Taylor now being connected to this lawsuit. I'm going to show you guys what came out just after. That was anticlimactic. Where's the friggin', hold on. That was anticlimactic. I have to find I do have it. There it is. Okay, pretend it was more quick than that. This came out immediately after. So this was posted January 17th, 2025 at 10:20 a.m. Eastern, but it says this Thursday, which would have been the day before. So shortly after headlines were hitting, with Taylor Swift being attached to the headlines, Taylor Swift went to her Instagram stories and posted this. The fires in California have devastated so many families, and it's been heartbreaking to see these stories unfold. So much suffering, loss, and destruction. As so many people embark on some of the most challenging times of their lives, there are also many amazing organizations and groups banding together to help these communities rebuild. These are the organizations I've donated to. If you feel compelled or able to donate, please do. And then she lists about 10 organizations. So either her team was really on it, because again, this article in Harper's was the next morning, but it talks about Thursday. But if you look at Thursday was the same day that the headline I just showed you guys came out. Either her team was on top of it and they saw it right away, which is very possible, or sometimes what can happen with a big name like Taylor Swift is that publication that's going to be running the story. So it looks like it was People that ran that story. Well, People is friendly to Taylor. It tends to be where Taylor Swift and Tree Payne go. What can also happen, and you see this in the movies, but it's legit, this does happen, is they'll call up and be like, hey, we've got a story we're running and we're just giving you a heads up. So they could have also had a heads up that this story was running. Okay, so either one of those, either they were so on top of it, which wouldn't really surprise me. I'm sure their phones were like off the hinges, but also since People has in the past been the exclusive place for Taylor and Tree, it's also very possible that she got a call from People with a heads up that it was coming out so that they could get ahead of the narrative or at least follow it up quickly. So it was within hours that this went up. Now, this is what I say about Taylor. It doesn't mean that, like, one, I mean, I suppose she could have donated after she got the news, but the way I like to take this is she already made the donations, but she did it quietly. And this is what I say all the time, and people get kind of upset with me when I say it, but if you hear about a Taylor Swift donation, there's a reason from a PR perspective, because she makes a lot of donations behind the scenes that never see the light of day. And if we go with the idea that, which I would like to go with, that she is a good person and she made these donations to genuinely help, she made those donations in private and quietly, but it was used strategically to fix the narrative, because what was blowing up in Google at that time was Blake, Justin, Taylor. Taylor pressured Justin. Taylor involved in the It Ends With Us lawsuit. But after she posted this, it started to shift her SEO almost immediately. And what you started to see was trending stories that were saying Taylor donates to fire organizations or whatever to help the LA fires. So, and yes, later Travis donated money also. Exactly. Now, when this came out, it completely changed the narrative. She was able to take back control of the narrative. And again, it's been moving so fast, it's hard to keep control of it very long, but Tree is a woman I'd want on my side. She is full-time with Taylor. So Tree Payne left her position and she is full-time for Taylor Swift. That is her job, PR for Taylor. She doesn't work for anyone else. I felt they've been behind the 8 ball a bit. I haven't been a huge fan on some of their moves. I think they could have had better control of the narrative. There's been a few times I've been a bit critical and said they've lost control of the narrative, which they have. But overall, since the Masters release and regaining the Masters, they're doing a really good job. But there have been some moves where I'm like, I don't know. That font though. So yes, thank you, Leo. Like the stream. All right, so that's all I have for you guys today. Let me check on the docket again one more time, because it is notorious for I exit and then something big drops. All right, looks like that's it. Let's see if Blake's run to People. Oh, well, that's interesting. We'll flip over quick. It's basically the same, but the one that's trending now under Blake Lively's name is Taylor Swift is furious with Blake Lively for using her for clout. I mean, this is an interesting story. John Krasinski emotionally blackmailed Blake Lively for a 50% rated movie. Yeah. So, and here, this is what a lot of Blake's running with. I have new friends and all this crap. All right, my friends, that's what I have for you today. That's the news. I would say that overall, what we're seeing is it's a PR war, but it's also with Taylor Swift, because she wants control of what's coming up with her name. And really, who can blame her? Can't catch a break or some sleep. I know. I need sleep and a break. I need both of those things. You're welcome, my friends. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Make sure to give it a share. And a lot of content creators are thanking, mentioning you and the human design. Oh, that's really cool. That's super cool. Thank you for letting me know. All right, my friends, have a beautiful day. Hello, it's so nice to see you. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And unless something breaking happens today, which I can't see it happening, I will see you tomorrow around the same time, same place. Like, subscribe, get notifications. And with that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.